Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to be walking through math topics from 8th grade to 12th grade. And I have a few questions for you to walk through. I have questions on pre-algebra. We have algebra 1, algebra 2, and some geometry. If you have any questions as we proceed with the session, please let us know. Let me know for sure. And then I'll be okay with going back and addressing topics that are relevant to you. The goal of this session is to provide an outlet for you to be able to cover topics or address concerns that you have with your school topics. And so the way we're going to walk through this is I'm going to put the questions out there, and then you're going to be able to, I'll give you a few minutes to see if you can do them. If you cannot do them, or even if you can do them, I will go ahead and show you different approaches to answering this type of questions. So I'm looking forward to enjoying the hour with you. And so let's get started. Thank you again for joining, and I appreciate your time. I know everyone is busy, lots of distance learning and all of that stuff going on right now. So I really appreciate the time you have chosen to spend with me this hour. Thank you. So the way I've done this is I have the question and I let you know what grade this question applies to, and also the topic for that grade that it applies to. And so I'm going to give you some time. We're going to wait for maybe a few more moments for a few people to trickle in. And so I'll give you some time to actually walk through this problem, and I'll check the chat. So if I don't respond to you immediately, just know that I'm still going to get to it. I'll look at the chat and make sure that I'm able to address the concerns that you have or the questions that you have. So our first question here is for 8th graders, and please feel free to answer it even if you're not in 8th grade. The way I've set this up is so that if you're in 8th grade all the way even through pre-algebra and college algebra, there's going to be something here that you can relate to or that could be relevant to your learning. And so everyone is welcome to attempt any question that you see here. So we have a question here about the construction crew. Good afternoon, Mofe. Thank you for joining. I appreciate your time. A construction crew needs to rent a trench digger for up to a week. An equipment rental company charges $25 per day plus a $45 non-refundable insurance cost to rent a trench digger. Write an equation and to find the total cost to rent the trench digger for D days, and then using that equation, how much would it cost to rent the digger for 5 days? So we have a question here. For those who are joining, thank you for joining. You're welcome. If this is your first time here, thank you. We appreciate your time. Okay, so let's try maybe about 30 more seconds to see if we can get some responses, and then we'll go ahead and walk through this together. All right. So we have a construction crew that needs to rent a digger for up to a week, and an equipment rental company that charges $25 per day and a $45 non-refundable insurance cost to rent a trench digger. First of all, we're going to look at coming up with the equation for this situation. So let's figure out what we know. We know the cost per day. So cost per day excuse me. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, something tripped. So we have the cost per day is $25, and we have a non-refundable charge of $45. So what we need to find out here is we need to create an equation here that represents the situation that is expressed. So we have remember that every equation we're going to come up with that is linear is going to look like this: y equal to mx plus b, where b is a constant and your m is going to be your slope. So this is what affects the change. So here the function of the number of days is going to be how much we charge per day, which is going to be 25 multiplied by d. D represents the number of days that is being rented. 25 represents the cost per day or the charge per day. And then we have 45 is going to be the fixed cost, which is going to be your non-refundable cost. And so your function here is going to be 25d plus 45. Is that clear? That's the first part of the question. 25d plus 45. Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you, Ayo. I think that's Ayo. Okay, Ini, welcome when you join. And so we're looking for 5 days. So all we're going to do here is we have f of d is equal to 25d plus 45. So f of 5, which represents the number of days, is going to be 25 multiplied by 5 plus 45. And this is going to give you 125 plus 45, which is going to be $170. So for 5 days, this construction crew will need to spend $170 to rent this digger. So thank you for trying this. Thank you for your participation. For those who are joining, welcome. Are there any questions about this, the approach that we've taken? Any questions on this? Ini, you're welcome. It's better to be late than not to be here, so I appreciate you coming on. Okay, for Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 students, we're going to find, we have this quadratic function, and we're asking here to find the coordinate of the vertex of this function. The coordinates of the vertex. Hello, Yemi. Thank you for coming on. So we need to find the coordinates of the vertex of this function. This is a quadratic function. So we have, let me try to draw a sample graph and tell you what we're looking for here. So if I have a graph that looks like this, and so if I have something that looks like this, we're looking for the vertex. So the vertex is going to be the point where the graph changes direction. So you can see here that it's going from, it's actually reducing the graph. The values of y are reducing until you get to this point, and then they start to increase. So that is what we're looking for, that point, that the point that this happens is also, you could also be looked at as your axis of symmetry. All right, I'll wait for a few more seconds and I'll walk through this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. This session is mostly for you to just help you with topics that you're going through in school or that you may have questions about. I know that with the distance learning, not everyone can adapt to it easily. So if there are questions you have, please let me know and I'll be glad to address them for you. Okay, so let's look at the vertex. The vertex of a quadratic function is the point. It's usually denoted by the point hk, and your h is your x value, your x coordinate, and then k is your y coordinate. So how do you go about finding the x coordinate? We don't have a graph, and this was done on purpose so we don't have a graph. So if we don't have a graph, what you want to do here is, first of all, you want to write this function as f of x equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. We're going to try to get out the values of a, b, and c. So we're going to compare this function here with the function we're given, and we're going to find out that a is equal to 3, b equal to -6, and then c is equal to 11. So now we want to find out the x coordinate first. So the x coordinate of your vertex is going to be minus b over 2a. So now we're going to substitute the values in here. So we have minus b, b is -6, divided by 2a, and a is 3. So this is going to be 6 over 6, which equal to 1. Now we have the x value, and remember, for any function, your y value is the same as plugging in your x value into the function. So your y value is now going to be f of 1, which is equal to 3 multiplied by 1 squared minus 6 multiplied by 1 plus 11, which is going to give you 3 minus 6 plus 11. So 3 minus 6 is -3 plus 11. -6 plus 11. So we have -3 plus 11, and that's going to give you, we're going to subtract, and then the sign on the larger is positive. So we have +8. So therefore, our vertex is going to be the point 1, 8. So that's going to be the vertex of the function. It's going to give us at the point 1, 8, you're going to have the vertex of this function. Okay, sure, Ini will do that. We're looking at the difference of squares, 81 n to the power of 4 minus 25. That's perfect. We can do that. Any questions? Do you have any questions on this topic? Do you want me to go over it again? After this I'm going to address, after this question, I'm going to address the question that Ini has brought up. So we have 81 n to the 4th power minus 25, and we're looking at the difference of squares. Okay. Any questions before we go ahead to the question that was posted in the chat? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, let's proceed with that question. So we want to find out factor 81 n to the 4th power minus 25. Ini, can you confirm that this is the right question? Okay, let me know if I have stated the questions correctly. Okay, it is. All right, thank you. Thank you for your confirmation. So what we're going to do here, there is a simple trick that I like to use. The first thing you want, whenever you're solving math problems, it's good to state where you're starting from and where you hope to go. So where I'm starting from is I have a squared minus b squared, okay? Because we're already told that these are perfect squares, they're difference of squares. And so what this ends up becoming is going to be a plus b multiplied by a minus b. You can actually distribute this using your FOIL or any other method you prefer, and you'll get back to this. So when I have this type of problem, the first thing I like to do is I'll try to put a square root sign for each of these numbers. So I have, what is the square root of 81n to the 4th power? That's going to give you, I want to make sure you understand this, 81n to the 4th power is the same as the square root of 81 multiplied by the square root of n to the 4th power. So the square root of 81, you should get 9, and the square root of n to the 4th power, you just divide the exponent by 2, and you're going to get n squared. So this is going to give you 9n squared, and then we find out the square root of 25, that's going to give you 5. So now that we have this, remember that a squared minus b squared, what I've done here is find the square root of each of these, and I have a here and I have b right here. So this is going to give me a plus b and then a minus b. So we have, now I have the square root of 81 n to the 4th power. So let's go ahead and rewrite that question. 81n to the 4th power. Let me make sure that this is just the question. So 81n to the 4th power minus 25 is going to be the same as 9n squared minus 5 squared. So you can see that now we're making it look like this format right here. So now that you have this, all you have, this is 9n squared rather. So now that you have this format, all you have to do is just make it look like this factored form here. So you're going to have 9n squared plus 5 multiplied by 9n squared minus 5. Is this clear? So that's all you have to do. Here are the steps. First of all, find out the square root of each of the squares, and then rewrite the question you're given in this form so you can see the square root of each of those terms, and then now you can rewrite your answer in the form a plus b multiplied by a minus b. And so it's always a good idea to do this so that we can see that this is your final answer. Is this clear? Any questions? Would you like me to do another one that looks like this so that you can have a better understanding? Okay, while I wait on that, we'll try to go ahead with the next question that I have here. This is for geometry students. I want to find the lateral and total surface areas of this regular pyramid. So are you saying you need another example, or you're okay with the example that we've done so far? I want to make sure I understand your comment. Okay, another example. Let's go for another example before we go to this. So as you can see, what I want to do here is I want to make sure that I'm addressing topics that are relevant to you. So if you have any questions, like Ine is providing us some questions. If you have any questions or any topics that you're working through in school right now that you need help with, please feel free to state that, and then I will put whatever I have planned on hold and address what's important to you. Okay, Esther, I see your question, but can you just shed some more light? If you can just throw an example there so I can understand your terminology, and then we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so for the question, another question here is going to be 49n to the fourth power minus 81x squared. So this is the question we're going to solve. We're going to try to factor this. So we're going to try to factor this expression here. And like I said, you always want to start with what you know, which is a squared minus b squared is going to be a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find out the square root of each of these terms first. So the square root of 49 n to the fourth power is the same as the square root of 49 multiplied by the square root of n to the fourth power. This is going to give you 7 here, and here you're going to have multiplied by n squared. Whenever you're trying to find the square root, you divide the exponent by 2. So this is going to be 7 multiplied by n squared. That is going to give us 7n squared. 7n squared. Then 81x squared, the square root of that is going to be the square root of 81 multiplied by the square root of x squared. So this is going to give us 9 multiplied by x, which is equal to 9x. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to rewrite all of this stuff so that it looks exactly like that. So instead of 49n to the fourth power, I'm going to say 7n squared, which is going to be our a, and I'm going to write this as squared. So you can see that this actually represents 49n to the fourth power. And then this is minus 81x squared is going to be 9x all squared. So you can see now we have the value of a. You can actually say a is equal to 7n squared, b equal to 9x. So you can easily see how you can apply this formula to the question that you have. So now we're saying that if we have a squared minus b squared, we're now going to have 49n to the fourth power minus 81x squared is going to be a plus b. So you can see a plus b. So it's 7n squared plus 9x. And then a minus b, 7n squared minus 9x. So this is the factored form of your expression. And I think most likely when you get to algebra 2, you'll be able to see where you can continuously do this until you get to a point where you have to stop. I won't go into that right now, but I want to make sure you understand. Okay, Ini, good. All right, so let's go ahead. Esther, I see your question. So let me try to write it out here so that we can all follow the question. So you said let P equal to, P is equal to 4x minus 7p, 4x minus 7p, okay? Which equation is equivalent to 4x minus 7 squared plus 16 equal to 40x minus 70. So is this, Esther, I want to make sure this is the correct question. Are you sure that P is equal to 4x minus 7p or is 4x minus 7? I want to just be sure of that. we want to find this in terms of p. So I want you to double check that you have p equal to 4x minus 7 or 4x minus 7p. I'll wait on you to just verify that, and then we'll go ahead and solve this together. Okay, good. All right, that's what I thought. So it's 4x minus 7. All right. So what we're going to do here is we have 4x minus 7. So what I'm going to try to do is everywhere we can factor, we just factor. So this right here, we have 4x minus 7 squared plus 16. So I'm going to factor this out here. I'm going to factor 10 out. It's going to be 4x minus 7. Is that clear? So the next step you're going to take here is, all you're going to do is you're going to replace every instance of 4x minus 7, you're going to replace it with p. So here I have 4x minus 7, I have p right here, parenthesis squared, plus 16 equal to 10, and then 4x minus 7 is p. So we're expected to express the answer in terms of p. So therefore, what we have is p squared plus 16 equal to 10p. And then we can write this as a standard quadratic. Are we trying to, okay, we're trying to solve this equation, or we're trying to write this in terms of p? Because we can really go further with this. So we have p squared. Let's go ahead and subtract 10p from both sides of this equation. So we now have p squared minus 10p plus 16 equal to 0. So now we can go ahead and actually factor this. To factor this, we're going to treat this as our quadratic equation. So p squared minus 10p plus 16 equal to 0. We need to find out the values of p that make this statement true. Okay, we're solving. All right, good. So we need to find the values of p that make this statement true. And so therefore, what we're going to do is factor this out. We're going to solve this quadratic equation here. And let's look at 16. The factors of 16 are going to be 2 and 8. But because we have negative, I'm going to have negative 2 and negative 8, negative 4, negative 4, negative 1, negative 16. So we're going to find out which of these two numbers add up to negative 10. We're going to have this group right here. And so we now have p minus 8, p plus 2, p minus 2 rather, p minus 8, p minus 2 equal to 0. Now we can find the values of p. So now we have p minus 8 equal to 0. We're going to add 8 to both sides. So p is equal to 8. Then we have p minus 2 equal to 0. We add 2 to both sides. So p is equal to 2. Now don't stop here because we have some ways to go. Remember where we started? We started that p is equal to 4x minus 7. So now we're going to have p is equal to, let me write this here. Remember that p is equal to 4x minus 7. So now we're going to replace p here with 8 is equal to 4x minus 7. And so we need to find out the value of x. So we have 15 equal to 4x. We divide both sides by 4. And we have x equal to 15 over 4. And then we now have 2 is equal to 4x minus 7. And so I'm going to try to grab some space so that we don't lose any of what we're writing. Okay, so we're going to now add. We're going to add 7 to both sides of this equation. And then 9 is equal to 4x. We divide both sides by 4. And so we have x equal to 9 over 4. So therefore, the solution to this is x equal to 15 over 4, and we have 9 over 4. So those are your two solutions. I'm also going to write this here, p equal to 8 and 2. So this is how you would actually approach this type of question. It depends on how far your teacher wants you to go with it. If your teacher wants you to find the values of p, this is where you stop. If your teacher wants you to solve the whole equation, this is where you stop. So I try to make sure that I've addressed all the different scenarios in terms of the questions that you could get asked when it comes to this topic. Let me know if this works for you, if you have a good understanding of what we've done, or if you want us to, if there's any part of it you would like me to go over, please let me know and I will go over it again. You're very welcome, Esther. Yes, the most important thing is I wouldn't really be overwhelmed by the number of steps or how many steps you have to go through to get here. I want you to just realize that you followed, just figure out the flow of how things are happening. Think of this as you're trying to build something, so you need to know exactly how you start to how you get to the top. Getting to the top is getting your answer, so we want to make sure that you feel comfortable doing that. That's more important than worrying about the number of steps. Okay, so let's go ahead to our geometry question. If there are no other questions here, we'll go ahead to our geometry question. And we have a pyramid here, and we're trying to find the lateral surface area of this pyramid and the total surface area of the pyramid. What is the lateral surface area? The lateral surface area what makes a pyramid unique is that you typically have, especially this is a square pyramid, you're going to have 4 triangles on the sides building up to the top. So you have a vertex at the top, a shared vertex for each of those triangles. So we have all these triangles right here. This is one triangle here. This is another one right here. This is one right here. And then this is, so you have 4 triangles. And the best way to look at the surface area, the lateral surface area, is going to be the area of all the lateral faces. So it's going to be the sum of the area of all the lateral surfaces, and your total surface area is going to be the lateral surface area plus the area of the base. So that's what we're going to try to get here. Our lateral surface area is going to be the sum of the area of the lateral faces. This is pretty simple because for this, all you need to do is find one of them. If you find one of them, you can multiply by 4 because you have 4 lateral surfaces here. But the important thing here is figuring out the area of that triangle. So let's proceed with the lateral surface area. So the lateral surface area is going to be the area of, we have a triangle here. So area of a triangle, area of triangle is 1/2 base multiplied by height. So here we know what the base is because the base is 4. We said it's a square. So the base is 4. So we have 1/2 base times height multiplied by number of lateral faces. So we're going to have 1/2. Your base here is 4. And then your height, you're going to actually use the lateral height here. This is this one right here, which is 7. You got 7 for that. And then you're going to multiply by the number of lateral faces, or you can just say the number of triangles that you find here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you multiply that by 4. So you're going to have 14 multiplied by 4, which is 56. And then now we need to find the area of the base. The area of the base is a square with a side of 4. So the area is going to be side squared, which is going to be 4 squared, and you have 16. So now your total surface area is going to be 56 plus 16, which is equal to 72. So your lateral surface area is 72 square centimeters. So your total surface area is going to be 72 square centimeters. Your lateral surface area is 56 square centimeters. So I'm going to summarize here. Lateral surface area is 56 square centimeters and total surface area is 72 square centimeters. Any questions? Let me know if you have any questions along the way. Please let me know if you have any questions along the way. I actually find it more interesting when I'm actually solving the questions that you have, because I want to make sure that you're getting the best out of this, you're getting the most out of this. So as much as you can, please send me questions. You can send them ahead of time. You can also send them while we're having the session, and that would be good. All right, so if there are no questions, let's go to the next topic. All right, so this is for our grade 8. We're looking at direct proportion here, and this is a word problem. So Rosa earned $28 for babysitting for 3.5 hours. At this rate, how much will she earn babysitting for 7.5 hours? All right, thank you, Mofe, for your feedback. Thank you for your comment. So Rosa earned $28 for babysitting for 3.5 hours. At this rate, how much will she earn babysitting for 7.5 hours? This is direct proportion. When we're looking at direct proportion, so let's look at, I'm going to try to draw this out for you so you can see what direct proportion is. So with direct proportion, have to remember that when you have direct proportion, it looks like that. You start from the intercept. So you can use direct proportion to solve this, because what you can observe here is that for Rosa, the more she works, the more money she's going to make. So that's a direct proportion, because as your independent variable increases, your dependent variable also increases. So that's the concept of direct proportion. You can see that here in this graph, this is your independent and this is your dependent. So as this variable increases, then your dependent also increases. So with this, I'm actually going to use direct proportion to solve this. And here's our first thing. We always need to remember that we're looking for y equal to kx. So we need to find out which of this is going to be our independent variable and which is going to be our dependent variable. What I can see here already is that the fact that the amount of money made is dependent on the number of hours. I can tell you that this is our dependent variable. We have k multiplied by 3.5. Here I'll just go ahead and change 3.5 to, okay, Ayo, great work, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and convert 3.5 to improper fraction. So this is going to be 7/2. So 28 is going to be k multiplied by 7/2. And now we need to find the value of k. So the easiest way, and because I'm dealing with 8th graders and above, is just to multiply both by 2/7. And when you do that, you're able to cancel out all the values here. So you can see that this is now k. And then you can divide 7 by 7, you have 1, 28 by 7, you have 4. So therefore, our equation is going to be y equal to 8 x because k is equal to 8. Now that we have that information, we can now apply that to the second part of the question, which is to find out how much she earns if she babysits for 7.5 hours. So now y is going to be equal to 8 multiplied by 7.5, which is going to be 8 multiplied by 15 over 2. We're going to divide. So 15 multiplied by 4 is 60. So Ayo, you have it right. So therefore, Rosa earns $60 for 7.5 hours of babysitting. So that's how you do this. 79, good try. I know you haven't done that yet, but that's good try. Always appreciate your participation. Is this clear to everyone? 8th graders, 9th graders, even college students are actually learning this in pre-calculus and college algebra. So this is, don't feel bad if you're not really sure how to do it. All right. Okay, this is for our Algebra 1 students. We're looking at what problems here? It's not necessarily proportion. It's just what is linear algebra. Linear algebra. What problems? So we have it's giving you the hint already. Supplementary angles are two angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees. Angle X and Y are supplementary, and the measure of angle X is 24 degrees greater than the measure of angle Y. Find the measures of X and Y. Angle X and angle Y are supplementary angles, which means they add up to 180 degrees. And one of them is 24 degrees greater than the other one. What are these two angles? I'll give you some time to walk through this. Let's give you a few minutes and then we'll get going. I think we may have time for one more question after this, and then we'll go ahead to our puzzles. So I'm going to keep looking to check if you have any comments. So if you see me looking at it, looks like I'm looking at a different screen. I'm just looking to see your comments. For those who are joining us, welcome. If you're just joining, you are welcome. I appreciate your time and enjoy your visit. All right, so let's go ahead and walk through this as we await some answers. I'm sure that some answers will come through as we proceed. So we have supplementary angles. We have X and Y. So we're already told that they must add up to 180 degrees. So I got that already. So that's given to me through the question. Now we're told that the measure of angle X is 24 degrees greater than angle Y. Now we need to be careful how we do this, because we know that X is greater than Y. So X is the same as 24 plus the angle Y. That is what we have for perfect, Ayo. Thank you. Great work. Thank you for answering this question. So we have the two equations that we need here. X plus Y is equal to 180 degrees, and X is going to be 24 degrees more than Y, or greater than Y. So now we have two equations, and our two equations are X plus Y equal to 180, and then X equal to 24 plus Y. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use substitution here. So I'm going to substitute this equation in here. I'm going to substitute it in the original equation. So X is 24 plus y, so I have 24 plus y for x. Let me do that so you can see that that represents x plus y equal to 180. So 24 plus y equal to 180. I have 24 plus 2y is equal to 180. Now we're going to solve for y so we can find the smaller angle. And we're going to subtract 24 from both sides. And we have 2y is equal to 156. So we go ahead and divide by 2. And then we have y is equal to 78 degrees. But we need to find out x as well. We already know that x is equal to 24 plus y. X, not that x. So x is equal to 24 plus y, which is equal to 24 plus 78, which is 102. So therefore, x is equal to 102 degrees, y equal to 78 degrees. Perfect. Good job everyone. Thanks again for your participation. We're going to try one more question and then I think we'll be able to call it a day after that. I'm going to look for one that actually has some algebra 2 component in it, and let's go ahead and deal with some fractions. Let's do this one. We have some algebra 1, algebra 2 component in here. We want to find out the value of x. Find the value of x from this equation. Find the value of x in this equation. We want to find the value of x. There's a very simple way to do this. Let me see what everyone. I'll give you all a few moments to try this, and I'll show you the simplest way to do this. Let's give you a few more moments and. All right, let's go ahead and I'll show you the simplest way that I would always, this is the simplest way to do this, is to do a cross product. I'm going to cross product right here. So what that means is 2 multiplied by x minus 2 is equal to 3 multiplied by x plus 1. And so we're going to just solve this. So this ends up becoming the equation. The equation that we're solving is a multi-step equation. So we're going to distribute 2 in here. We have 2x minus 4 is equal to 3x plus 3. Now I'm going to make a decision to move the variables to the right hand side and the constants to the left hand side. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and add 4. It doesn't make a difference. So we have 2x equal to 3x plus 7. Then we subtract 3x because we need to have the variables isolated on the left hand side. We could do it the other way, it doesn't really make a difference. So negative x equal to 7, and now we need to find the value of x, so we're dividing by negative 1, so x equal to negative 7. So you could have done it the other way as well, which is to get the variables on the right hand side and your constants on the left. Doesn't make that much of a difference. Now there's another method to do this, and it's probably in algebra 2. You may be forced to use this method, so I'll show it to you. What you want to do is you want to find the least common denominator of these two denominators here, and then that's all you have to do to do that. Whenever you have numbers that don't look the same, especially in algebra, when you have terms that don't look the same or are not even factors of each other, just go ahead and multiply. So you're going to see that we're going to end up with what we have here. So you have 2 over x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 2 is equal to 3 over x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 2. So what we can do here is we can cancel out terms that are common in the numerator and the denominator. So we cross this out. You can see that we end up right here. Then we cross this out here. You can see that we end up right here. So it doesn't matter what approach you take. I just think making it simple for you is to use the method on the left, which is this cross product method. This is the LCM method. So whatever one you find more comfortable using, go ahead, and hopefully this makes sense to you. All right, Esther, thank you. Good job. Thank you, Esther. All right, so now that we have done a lot of our math, we have a few more minutes, so I'm going to just go ahead and walk through our puzzles. I have two. One of them is mathematical, the other one is logic. So I'm trying different things to see which ones you guys like, so I can do more of that. So we have these 1 plus 1 equal to 5, 3 plus 3 equal to 45, 5 plus 5 equal to 125. What is 6 plus 6? Let's try a few more moments. I'm sure this is making you all think, or maybe not. I'm sure some already have figured it out. Ayo, you're close. I think I understand what you're doing, but you're quite close. Anyone else have a different answer? Let's try one more answer and then I'll give you a clue on how you should go about it, and I'm sure you'll all get to the answer. Okay, let me give you a clue. This is going to be 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 5 equal to 5. This is 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5 equal to 45. This is going to give you 5 multiplied by 5, and then we multiply that by 5 again. We're going to get 125. So what is going to be the last one? Let's wait for a few seconds. What's going to be the last one? The last one is going to be 6 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5. Perfect, Esther. Yes, thank you for that. It's 180. Thank you, Aya, for trying that. Okay, so we have one more puzzle here. This is actually a logical one. It's not mathematical at all. So let's see how we do. So in a year, there are 12 months. 7 months have 31 days. How many months have 28 days? We have 12 months. 7 of them have 31 days. How many of them have 28? It's just a brain teaser. Thank you, Ini. That's good. There are 12 months. 7 of them have 31. How many have 28? Okay. I think Ini has the answer because all the months of the year have at least 28 days. Every month of the year has 28 days. So all of them have 28 days. So that's all I have for today. I really appreciate you joining me today. I've really enjoyed it. I always enjoy when you bring questions. Okay, Anastasia, good. February all the time, actually, I think. February has 28 days all the time. Only once it has 29 every 4 years, which is your leap year. So thank you for joining. Thank you for your participation. Like I was saying earlier, I actually enjoy when you guys bring stuff or questions from your school or from what you're learning or what you're struggling with in school. That actually makes it more interesting to me. So because it's something I haven't seen and I haven't prepared for, it kind of gets my mind working even a lot more. And I hope that you found this useful. I look forward to next week. I hope you all have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your school week. Have a good weekend. If you have any questions, feel free to, you can post the questions in the chat. You can post it on our YouTube channel. You can post it on Facebook. Just reach out to us in any way you can, and we'll be glad to continue to assist you for as long as you need the assistance. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a blessed weekend. I'll see you next week, Thursday. Bye for now. Bye, Koto. All right. Thank you.